Episode 103 with Dorian Chavez.
You can't just sit here and complain about it. You got to do something. Get involved. Do, whatever.
From the capital of the Lone Star State, we're engaging with Republican leaders across Texas to keep our priorities front and center, spotlight our rising stars, and making sure that the grassroots has all the tools they need to push back the Democrats and make Texas even brighter red. You are part of the elephant herd.
Well, welcome to another episode of The Elephant Herd. With The Elephant Herd, we are excited about the grassroots. We care about local candidates and local issues. The presidential elections, the national elections, they always generate headlines and they always have a lot of noise associated with those races and those issues. But we really believe that the most important issues, the places that really matter, are the men and women that are running for local offices. So today I'm joined with a city council candidate from Cedar Park, Texas, just north of Austin, Dorian Chavez. Dorian, welcome to the show.
Hey, John, thanks for having me.
Glad that you're here. So, Dorian, very quickly, let's just kind of talk. Why did you decide to run for city council?
This is my second time. I was actually on council last year and was voted off, and I'm here again. And both times that I ran, it was for similar reasons. I'm not a very public person. I don't like being in the public eye, and I don't like doing interviews sometimes because it's just not my thing, But the first time I ran, I was asked to run by some people, and I was like, absolutely not. Don't want to do it. It's not my thing. I've always been very involved in the community, volunteered, ran. I don't mind managing and running things for the city and doing things. That's great. I love doing that. Doing stuff at the schools, awesome. Ran the carnival at the local school, not a big thing. But when the council question came up, I was like, not really.
Not really. I have other more important, funner things to do with my life.
Yeah, and actually, before I ran the first time, I actually somebody kind of put that bug in my ear, and I was like, well, I don't even know what council is. I don't know what they do. So I actually went like a year or two before I ran the first time. I went to a couple council meetings and sat in, and I was like, wow, this is like really boring. And also, I just didn't like the fact that you're sitting up here and you're talking to this just wasn't my thing. I went to 2 or 3 and I was like, I'm not doing it, But I was always very involved in news and what's going on in the world and, how badly things were going. And I was always, pressuring people, telling them like, well, you can't just sit here and complain about it. You got to do something, get involved, do, whatever. So anyways, this was thrown on my plate and I was like, nope, don't want to do it. But then I found out what that candidate at the time was running for. They wanted to support abortion clinics in the city, and they weren't calling them abortion clinics. They were calling them whole women.
Yeah, all women's health. It's amazing. The only women's health the left cares about is the killing of unborn women and men.
Right. So they were pushing that there, and it was a whole group of them. They called themselves the #BetterTogether group, and there were this slate of candidates and 2 existing council women that were on the council, Ann Duffy and Heather Jeffs. So they were for the sanctuary cities, they were for the abortion clinics, they were for bringing, the homeless into Cedar Park. And I was just sitting there like, I'm like, we can't let this happen. And the thing is that candidate was going to be running unopposed. So we were just going to give it to them, So I told my person, I was like, look, they had some other people to interview, and I told them, I go, look, if you can't find somebody, I will do it.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, I know nothing about politics. You hear things about people being controlled and muzzled and all that. I'm like, if I get in, I'm gonna do what I want to do. I go what I think is right. They're like, that's fine. You could, do that. And then long story short, I got thrown in and I ran and I won.
Awesome.
And the second time around, it's kind of a similar story. I got off council and I was like, all right, I did what I could, and I wasn't butthurt because I lost. I was outfunded like 7-1, and I was like, well, they ran a better campaign than me, and then other things I could talk about the rest later. But so that happened. Whatever. This second time comes around, and the same thing's happening. We have three very radical opponents, to us three that are running now, the three conservatives that were running, and they were part of these radical groups like Indivisible, and now they're going by a different name because they've gotten such negative publicity. And they were all like, two of them are Democrat Socialists of America, and the other one is still part of this radical group. And I was just like, again, this is happening again. They're running unopposed,
right.
And so I didn't know if you knew this, but my wife and I actually are running now.
I saw that, and I do apologize because I did see the two last names, and I didn't want to make an assumption. What's it like running with your wife?
It's good. Her and I are very equally yoked, I guess you could say. So I don't think you'll see too much bickering on the dais if we get on. I don't know. There might be a couple.
Do we need some marriage counseling after each city council meeting? Is that what we need?
Yeah, I think we'll be good. I mean, some people joked around about that, but we are pretty like-minded, and so we're yoked. So either way, we waited to the last day and the last hour to file, because we were hoping somebody else was going to come and we could support them and we can help campaign with them, whatever. But that didn't happen. So myself and my wife and the gentleman, Colin Klein, he's the other candidate, we all spoke, and he had already filed a day or two before us. He was set that he was going to run, which is great. He's a really good guy. But we waited to the last day because we were hoping somebody would show up. But they didn't. So similar to the first time I ran.
So now that you're campaigning and you're going out and you're knocking on doors, what are the issues that really matter to people? What questions are they asking you about?
Well, there's and I've talked about this to other people. There's four main things that are always come up. It's typically property taxes, it's traffic, and then kind of not some things that are not totally in our purview, but we are kind of related, is the pornography that's going on, that's getting pushed in the local schools, and the homeless issue.
Hold on just a second, because I think people that are outside of Austin, outside of this area, I don't know if they realize what's happening in Austin, and it's like a cancer because it's growing to Pflugerville and Leander and to your city, Cedar Park. Just why don't you describe what has happened since Austin started to defund the police and open camping? I mean, what does that actually mean and look like on the streets of Cedar Park?
Well, so right now we're still somewhat safe in Cedar Park because we don't allow the public camping and all that stuff. Although we are seeing, stuff at some of the local markets. You got people out there perform. It's like they're doing street performing and they're asking for money, and it's some stuff you've just never seen in Cedar Park. But what happened lately that's really kind of gotten people riled up is that Austin, kind of under the cover of darkness, kind of went to try and buy this hotel that's right on our border. And they were going to turn it into this homeless hotel, I guess you say. They spent like $9.5 million to house 80 people, And so I've been involved in supporting that the hotel owner that lives next to that, because they're ruining the area and the other businesses. And so that homeless question came up to some of the council members on a recent town hall, and some of them took the cowardly way out, and they just don't want to address it. They're just like, well, it's Austin business. I don't want to get involved. It doesn't concern Cedar Park, but it very much concerns Cedar Park. And now I even know even more now that it concerns us because our citizens are concerned. I mean, it comes up almost every door I hit and I have a conversation with somebody. They're like, what do you, they're asking me specifically, what do you think about the homeless hotel on our border? Yeah. And I'm totally against it. We all have compassion for the homeless. We all want to help them out. But what Austin is doing and a lot of these other blue cities are doing is that they're enabling the problem.
Yeah.
They're giving them freebies. They're giving them a place to live. They're not really they're not really showing them how to fish, right? They're not teaching them how to fish. They're just giving them the fish, They're
not helping. They're enabling, and I'll just say it. It's cruel what the Austin City Council and these guys are doing, because they're allowing people to live in these conditions, and they're not creating an environment where they actually get the help they need.
That's right. Yeah, and people are very concerned about that because, like I said, it comes up quite often.
So tell us a little bit about election dates. When does early voting start? When's the actual election day? And I know this is going to be, specific to Cedar Park, but the municipal elections are all tied into these calendars. So even if you're not in Cedar Park, you need to be paying attention to these dates. What are the dates?
Yeah, so April 19th through the 27th is early election, and May 1st is election day.
Excellent.
And just to kind of touch on something, we've been pushing a lot of people to go to the May 1st election day voting. And that's just advice from different attorneys dealing with this election lawsuit here in the county. They're just saying, let's try and push everybody to election day because it gives any bad players less of an opportunity to manipulate anything with the vote sitting around there for a week in the early vote.
What a concept. Have an election day. That's a crazy talk. How can you imagine such terrible
Very
talk?
radical. Sorry.
Radicals. No, it's great advice. If you can, show up on election day, May 1st. Well, hey, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, I want to ask you, what is it that keeps you up at night?
You're listening to The Elephant Herd. We'll be right back.
Promises. God's promises. He makes them and He keeps them. John 15:16 is our promise for today. Here's what Jesus said. You've not chosen me. I've chosen you and ordained you, that you should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name, He may give it to you. Wow! What a tremendous promise. You're chosen. Not just that you chose Him, He chose you. And not only that, He's ordained you that you would be very, very, very fruitful. And in so doing, then you can ask the Father anything, and He does it for you. John 15:16. What a winner. Remember, God keeps His promises.
From the capital of the Lone Star State, welcome back to the Elephant Herd.
We've been talking with City Council candidate Dorian Chavez in Cedar Park, Texas. Dorian, thanks again for being on the show. What I want to know is, what is it that keeps you up at night?
Overall, I'll tell you, I sleep pretty good at night. But if I'm going to break this up into two things, my personal life and maybe what's going on now with campaigning. So personal life, I'm trying to figure out when I'm going to plant my organic vegetable garden, because campaigning has kept me so busy. I just haven't been able to focus on my garden. That's a big thing. I love doing that on the side.
Love it.
Yeah. For something more related to what we're talking about now, it's really just, are the people going to take a stand? Are they going to get involved? Because the only way we're going to win here is if people just stop fearing so much and they start standing. They need to take a stand. They need to take action. They need to get involved, whether it's your local politics or, with your schools or your churches. That's probably one of the things I think about quite often as well.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And, going back to your interview, you talked about when you started to think about running for city council, you were showing up at the meetings, you get involved. And, I just want to kind of land on that. Maybe you have not been actively engaged in politics, but because of what you've seen in the last several years, you recognize that the only thing that's needed for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing. So if you're one of those good men, you need to do something. If you're one of those good women, you need to do something. And maybe it just starts by looking at every single candidate in your local races, your city council races, your independent school district races. Those are coming up in the next couple of weeks. Maybe your do something is to do your due diligence and make sure that you go to the polls and make sure that you bring at least 3 people with you to the polls.
Can I throw my website out there?
Absolutely.
It's www.dorianchavez.com. Please support any way you can, whether it's contributions or volunteering. We need all the help, exposure. Share my website. Do whatever you can, but get involved, please.
Absolutely. DorianChavez.com.
The Elephant Herd is provided by Texas Political Training and Empowerment and the Republican Party of Texas and is not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. If you found this episode valuable, please subscribe to the Elephant Herd. Leave an honest rating. You can get all the links to your favorite podcast listening apps at texasgop.org/podcast.